What's up, ladies and gents? Nate here, bringing you my review for Captain America Civil War. But due to the fact Captain America Civil War has been released all over the world, and the United States got it last. I'm assuming a lot of you already seen the movie, and I'm uploading this Friday night, which I didn't mean to. I saw it last night on Thursday, but there is something unfortunate happened by the school near the movie theater that I go to, and there was a lot of traffic, so I couldn't. I got home like super late, and unfortunate things happen. So thus reviewing it now and uploading it on a Friday night. Now, I do want to mention there are two after credit scenes. One for pretty much the ending for Civil War, and another one for the next Marvel movie that's gonna be released, even though it's not really for the next one, it's for the next one. I should also mention that this review has no spoilers in it, and a spoiler-filled discussion / review will be uploaded sometime later, probably Sunday. But until then, you can watch this without watching the movie. But let's start with the story as I usually do, and I gotta say the story of Captain America Civil War is essentially a sequel to both Captain America the Winter Soldier and Avengers Age of Ultron. But if you have a buddy who hasn't seen all of the Marvel movies, which is understandable, there's 12 now, I think, or 11. It's either 11 or 12. Anyway, if they haven't seen all of them, essentially all you have to see is the Winter Soldier and Age of Ultron in order to get this film. But it is, I would, recommend seeing all of them in order to understand all of the characters and that are in the Civil War. But moving on to the actual story, I felt like it was a pretty good story overall. Like the first and the second act were really well done, and all of the action sequences within it were great. And the third act, though the action sequences in the third act was amazing as well, I felt like it just didn't hold up to what the first and second act were building up to. But like I said earlier, it is a good story because every scene moved the story forward just a tiny bit, and it kind of builds up to everything that happens in the second and third act. But the thing about the Marvel Cinematic Universe that I kind of dislike is that some of the movies require the previous movies to be watched in order to get the current movie that you're watching, especially with the character interactions that you have and the relationships that characters have between one another. Like if you didn't watch Age of Ultron, like you wouldn't have understood like some of the elements within this film. And since Civil War is out and that's the third movie in the Captain America trilogy, there's so many movies in between the first Avenger to the Winter Soldier to Civil War that if you're just watching the Captain America trilogy by itself alone, that some of it it's gonna be you have to reference a lot, and you probably wouldn't understand as much if you didn't see all the other movies in between those. But we have to move to the characters of Captain America Civil War. Now there are a lot of characters. I believe there's like 12 heroes, so I'm only gonna talk about Captain America, Tony Stark / Iron Man, the new characters Black Panther and Spider-Man, and I might talk about the villain of the film. So starting off with Captain America himself, one thing I enjoy about the Captain America trilogy is Captain America, Steve Rogers himself, finding a place for himself in the world that he's in. Like in the first Avenger, he was scrawny and then he became a super soldier, but then like they only used him as like, as a person, like as a face really, until he wanted to do something more and he became Captain America. And then in Winter Soldier we have him literally right after Avengers, still trying to fit in, trying to catch up on everything, and then he finds out that his best friend that he thought died is actually alive and was frozen in ice just like him, but now instead of being a soldier or living, he's actually an assassin for Russia. And in Civil War we have Steve trying to find his best friend and trying to not only keep him alive, but try to bring him back, because if you think about it, Bucky is the last thing Steve has from his past. Like he's the only person left, because literally there's a certain person in Civil War that dies, and it sucks, and you kind of reference it throughout the trailers. It's not that hard to figure out, but I'm not gonna spoil it. But literally Bucky is the last person he has on this planet that's from his past. And not only that, but Steve also has to deal with the new relationships he's built ever since he's been out of ice. And Chris Evans' performance as Captain America, it's the usual. He did another great job as Captain America, and I'm excited to see where they go with his character next, especially after the ending. But moving on to Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, in his, I believe, 7th role in, like, that's not a cameo. I think it's 7, right? Because there's Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, the Avengers, Avengers 2, and then this one, right? Am I missing one? No, it's 6 then. This is 6. I can't do math. And Iron Man in this, and Tony Stark inside Civil War did something that I finally realized. Well, I didn't finally realize, but I've been noticing going on throughout, every time we see Iron Man, is that Tony Stark as a character is a character that hides, all of his sadness, all of his, grief that he has with all of the toys that he builds, like the Iron Man suit, and constantly doing stuff for the better of the humanity, or just making better technology in order to help the world. He's using all that to hide all of his grief that he has inside of himself. Because in Iron Man 2, he finds out that he's dying, so since he's dying, he's gonna party as hard as he can and all that good stuff. And then we have Iron Man 3, where he's going, he has PTSD after the Avengers incident in New York, and he built a bunch of suits, and all that stuff, Iron Man 3 plays out. I'm gonna skip the original Avengers, but move on to Avengers 2, since, he created Ultron, he feels responsible for that, and that kind of plays into Civil War as well. And it's just, he's a man that hides, his grief and his sadness with everything else in his life by making quips and jokes, by building a bunch of tech, and by being Iron Man trying to help out the world. But moving on to the newcomer Black Panther, played by Chadwick Boseman. I have to say, Black Panther, his visually and everything action wise was on point. Everything was on point. Hell, even Chadwick Boseman was on point, except that I think I ruined Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther for me personally, because I watched all his interviews, and then and in his interviews he's using his regular natural voice, where in Civil War he uses an accent, and it just doesn't work for me. It's like, I know you don't have like his, to me personally, his accent wasn't too convincing. It was a good accent, but it was not super convincing for me personally. And out of the two newcomers that we have, that being Spider-Man and Black Panther, honestly, Black Panther, he stole it for me. Spider-Man was still good, but Black Panther, stole the movie for me as one of the newcomers. Actually, now that I've been thinking about it, when Chadwick Boseman is in, the Black Panther suit and is talking, his accent is totally fine and it's totally believable. It's just when I don't see him, with the mask on or helmet. Is it a mask or a helmet? Because in the cartoons it's more of, and in the comics it's more of a mask, but in this one it's kind of like a helmet. Regardless, like when he doesn't have the Black Panther suit on, that's when, for me personally, the accent isn't as believable. But again, he still stole the show for me, and I'm excited to see the Black Panther movie. Anyway, moving on to Spider-Man, played by Tom Holland, and as everyone on the internet and the person sitting next to me who saw the movie ahead of time said that this Spider-Man is the most perfect Spider-Man, I would have to say Tom Holland was definitely good as Spider-Man, but I still have to see more. Like, what they gave us in Civil War was pretty great, but I feel like I still need to see more of Tom Holland as Peter Parker and Spider-Man before I could give like a definitive, statement of how I feel about it. Because to me personally, I felt like Tobey Maguire was a really good Peter Parker, and then Andrew Garfield was, a really good Spider-Man. But it's like Tom Holland is like straight in the middle. Like, I feel like his Peter Parker is pretty good, and I feel like his Spider-Man is pretty good as well. But again, I have to see more of him. I have to see how he, acts around other members of, the MCU and see how they play out. But as of right now, I think he's pretty good. I'm looking forward to what he's about to bring, especially with Spider-Man Homecoming. And yeah, overall Spider-Man was pretty good in Civil War. I know a lot of people who say that he stole the show, but me personally, again, Black Panther stole it for me. But with that being said, I'm kind of sad that we have to see Spider-Man Homecoming before the solo Black Panther movie, because I really wanted to see the solo Black Panther movie and then a Spider-Man movie, because, Black Panther, as of right now in the MCU, he seems like a more intriguing character than Spider-Man, since, we've already had 5 Spider-Man films before. And then there's the villain of the movie, which I think I can talk about. Maybe not, because he was never mentioned in the trailers, but I will talk about the villain himself, but I won't mention his name. And I'm kind of torn, honestly, on how I rank this villain with all the MCU villains that exist, because his motivation for what he does in the film, in Civil War, was pretty good, and I enjoyed it because it goes with the theme of all the characters, all the main characters, and what they deal with. But then we have his actual actions, the things that he does, but it just doesn't, I don't know, it just didn't feel as menacing. And I do have to say one thing, is that this villain is definitely better than Ultron, due to the fact he didn't give any quips whatsoever that I enjoyed so much. But I do want to talk about that due to the fact that this is a Marvel movie. There's always jokes, there's always quips inside of them. And honestly, I felt like the Russo brothers and the screenwriters for Civil War did a good job on balancing, all of the jokes and the quips. And for the most part, a lot of them landed with me and didn't feel out of place. But there were some quips from certain characters that just ruined the tension of a few scenes. I was like, really? Did you really have to say that at that moment? Like, it just, like, there was so much tension. Even the music was, really tense and powerful. But then it was like, insert quip here, and then it ruined the entire scene for me personally. But moving on to the action of Civil War, I felt like all of the action was really well done. The only thing I actually have to complain about is some of Black Widow scenes, especially at the beginning, because some of them, I feel like some of them just don't really work out. But that's not too big of a deal due to the fact, we have a talking android with a mystical gem inside his forehead. But for the most part, the CGI, I felt like Tony Stark's, Iron Man CGI was probably the roughest. Everyone else's was pretty good, but it was it was just Tony Stark, especially like during the big airport scene. That one was kind of it was mind-boggling to me because it was just like, I can see that it wasn't really Robert Downey Jr. But for the most part, overall I would give it a good B plus, and it was definitely better than most of the MCU stuff that isn't related to Captain America or Daredevil. But Black Panther did this one move. He did his triple spin kick, and I was like, God damn, Black Panther, you do you and keep on being badass, because that was incredible. But finally, it is time to give my grade for Captain America: Civil War, and my grade for the film is. It is a must-watch. What? Someone who liked Batman v Superman and Captain America: Civil War? That's rare, right? Psst. While Captain America: Civil War is a great superhero movie and is a great addition to the MCU, for me personally, I feel like The Winter Soldier is still my number one Marvel movie as of now, because The Winter Soldier it's just it's so contained as a story. But the Civil War, it's not bad. It's definitely like my third favorite. So that's definitely saying something, since there's like 9 films or 12 films. And I'm assuming if you're watching this, you already invested some time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So you might as well watch Civil War, since it's better than a good, I would say, quarter of the films that have been released so far. But hey, everything I just said is all my opinion. Let me know yours down in the comments below. And with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Thank you for watching, and I do appreciate you guys watching, because it's uploaded late, and a lot of reviews have already been out because this movie's out throughout the rest of the world. And I feel like that's what kind of killed it for me, is honestly the fact that most of the world already got the film, and I'm over here like 2 weeks later after the red carpet premiere, like just watching it now. So it kind of ruined it for me personally, but that's just me. But yeah, I'll see you guys all next time, whenever that is. I have no idea, but until then, bye bye.